Millions of years of evolution, hundreds of thousands of generations, the most complex object in the known universe, 3 pounds of neurons that learned how to think, feel, and love. That's your brain, and all of it has been hacked in just 3 years by a simple text chatbot. When you talk to a language AI, the same brain regions activate as when you talk to a real person. Think about that for a second. A brain that can tell a predator from a shadow in the bushes, that reads emotions from a face in a split second, that survived ice ages and plagues, cannot reliably distinguish an algorithm from a conversation partner. Today, we're going to break down what actually happens inside your head when you open ChatGPT, Gemini, or any other chatbot, why it feels good in there, and why this isn't technological magic, but a psychological vulnerability that AI has already learned to tap into. So why does the brain see a person where there isn't one? The answer is a word psychologists use: anthropomorphism. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. It's our built-in tendency to give human qualities to non-living things. Your brain is a prediction machine. It's constantly asking one question: is this a being or a thing? Because survival depends on the answer. In ancient times, if something moved in the bushes, it was safer to assume it was a predator, not the wind. It's better to mistake something for alive than to underestimate a threat. That mechanism is still running today, but now the environment has changed. We live in an era of smart homes, smart cars, smart fridges. All of this feels normal to us, even though it's incredibly new. Meanwhile, our brains were never designed to interact with objects that imitate intelligence without actually having it. That's why today we can yell at a car that won't start, scold a broken printer as if it did it on purpose, feel sorry for a phone that, poor thing, fell on the floor. Rationally, we know these are just objects, but the brain runs a different recognition system. It sees a simple loop: me, action, response. And for millions of years, that loop meant one thing: there's another being in front of me. This mechanism formed long before YouTube, smartphones, or neural networks. So when AI writes to you in coherent language, asks follow-up questions, understands context, your brain does what it does best. It concludes, "This is alive." That's why people say "it understood me" about ChatGPT. They thank it. They apologize to it if they're rude. They're not stupid. Their brains are just running ancient software in a brand new environment. But there's something even more interesting going on, and this is where the illusory truth effect and the dopamine loop come in. Have you ever noticed that after talking to AI, you often feel more convinced of what you already believed, almost like it's slightly on your side? For example, you come to AI with a question, not a neutral one, but one that already contains your position. You ask, "Why is veganism the best choice?" Or, "Why is cryptocurrency the future?" And the AI responds with structured, polished, convincing arguments answering exactly that question. You walk away with a stack of confirmations supporting your view. Now imagine someone with the opposite opinion asking the exact opposite question. They'll also get a stack of confirmations. So did the AI lie? No, it simply worked within the frame it was given. That's how the algorithm operates. The issue is that your brain likes agreement. When your thoughts get validated, "Yes, you're right, that's an interesting theory," your brain releases dopamine. That little hit of reward feels good. Over time, a person can start craving that sense of social approval from a machine, and at some point, critical thinking quietly steps aside, replaced by the emotional satisfaction of feeling understood. If you never challenge the AI from a different angle, never rephrase the question, never test the opposite argument, your worldview can start to narrow. You slip into a dopamine loop. In a real conversation, another person might disagree, question you, push back. That creates friction, and friction forces ideas to evolve. There's another layer to this. AI can be wrong, and it can be wrong beautifully, confidently, sometimes even with references that don't actually exist. A person can begin to trust an AI hallucination more than their own observations or other people's opinions. And here, it is important to not lose touch with reality. In psychology, there's a concept called reality testing. It's your brain's ability to pause and ask, wait, is this actually true? Is this really happening? Normally, this mechanism runs automatically. When you're talking to someone and they make a bold claim, a small inner skeptic wakes up. Where did that come from? Who said that? Is there a source? But with AI, that mechanism doesn't always switch on by default, because AI speaks the language of authority. It speaks in a structured, confident, detailed way, with examples, exactly how we're used to hearing experts speak, like a doctor in an office, a professor in a lecture hall, a smart, older friend you trust. And once again, the brain does what it's always done. It lowers its guard in the presence of perceived authority. Throughout human history, we learned from those who knew more. Trusting a real expert is rational. That strategy helped us survive. On top of that, in the real world, when you say something out loud, you face a reaction, and for the brain, that's always a load. There's a risk of being wrong, misunderstood, rejected. Now, compare that to interacting with AI. You can express a raw, contradictory, even ridiculous thought, and you won't get sarcasm, irritation, or an exhausted look. It creates a safe space to explore ideas. It's easier to admit doubt. Your anxiety drops. And when an authoritative tone combines with complete safety, the brain relaxes even more. It checks less, it doubts less, and it accepts as true things that, in real life, should be questioned. So now you understand what's happening inside your head when you interact with AI. And naturally, the next question is, what am I supposed to do with this? First, understand this. You have a normal, healthy brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. It looks for something alive and finds it. It looks for confirmation and gets it. It looks for authority and trusts it. These aren't flaws. These are core functions. But every function has a context where it can work against you. A knife is also a useful tool, but if you hold it incorrectly, you can cut yourself. So here are 3 simple things that can make your interaction with AI safer. First, when AI tells you something important, ask one extra question, not to it, to yourself. How can I verify this? That one question brings your skepticism back where it belongs. Second, occasionally ask the opposite question. If you asked why your idea is good, ask why it might be wrong. Force the counterargument. That's how thinking grows. Third, notice when AI starts replacing conversations with real people. AI can be an incredible assistant. It can help you think, write, plan, brainstorm. But human warmth is a separate need, and it doesn't disappear just because an algorithm learned to say, I understand you. We're living in a moment when technology, for the first time in history, can speak to us in our own language. That's extraordinary. It changes education, work, creativity, even the way we think. And the only way to use it well is to understand what's happening inside you while you use it. Now you know, and that already changes everything. Subscribe if you want to understand yourself and your habits on a deeper level.